Good morning, friends. We'll go ahead and start right away. I'm just going to ask that you move to a seated position and start to arrange your body. So there's a sense that there's just some conscious action that's taking you to a little more of a spacious quality feeling and understanding that effort. Maybe taking a few breaths, deeper breaths, because this can help you kind of feel internally these areas, chest, aligning through your mouth, throat. So we're doing kind of chapter 2 of working with our psoas muscle and kind of surrounding muscles. Like I can't help it. It's all interconnected. So the psoas, if you want to just take your hands right down to your belly and just breathe, taking a couple breaths into your belly, just feel like, there's a little movement in your belly as you breathe. So this is important as we take awareness down because the psoas is right along the lower lumbar, along your spine, it's connected to. And then it travels. You might even take your hands kind of in front of your hips. It moves in front of your hips and then your inner thighs. Your psoas muscles are connected then to your inner thighs. So the muscle itself is not attached to your pelvis, like to your pelvic bones. It kind of moves across it. And is also really recognized. It's such a strong muscle that whenever you have like a gut feeling, like, something causes you to react and tense up, that the psoas muscle can really be affected by this. And it can lock us up. It can create that feeling of a bit of paralysis. So therefore, just part of kind of flowing freely and responding to all of these emotions that flow through us would be a good idea to keep this really nimble psoas muscle. I mean, even it's interesting. I've been reading this book by Resma Menakan, My Grandmother's Hands, and he really talks about, or mentions, I should say, he's just very physical about kind of living in this way that we're really sensitive, but we also really live like really according to our heart, like in a strong way. What I love too in his book is he says that, yoga would be a really good way of just connecting and staying really close to yourself in a real loving, like self-compassionate, self-care way. But then there's a point in the book where he says, and now like yoga is no good. So this is when you got to get off the mat, and go. And this is the way that we also then, so important to take and interact with other people and share, like kind of share the love in a way, take care of people around us. So all of this is just related to these exercises we're going to do. So reach your arms up for a moment. Just reach straight up. And as you do this, I like to notice how reaching my arms up really helps me like lift my ribs and like lift up. And when you lift your ribs, that's going to lift you out of your lower back and really lengthen, start to get a big stretch and opening way down around your soul. Interlace your fingers and just rotate your palms up. Keep your throat really relaxed. Make sure you can breathe here and just do a little up and over to one side, like you're lifting your ribs up, that one side of your ribs, and then just go to the other side. Now, in order to lift the ribs, you might notice like you kind of pull your navel in and up in order to do that. So that's kind of all connected. Go back and forth, breathing here. Make sure that your pelvis stays heavy. Good, and then release your fingers. Take another big inhale. And then just pull down with your fist. Exhale. Complete. And then you inhale. Big inhale, and then you exhale. Let's just do 2 more of those. Lift up through your spine. So go ahead and just move back to your mat. We're going to briefly start in a child pose. Okay, so classic child pose is going to take you how? It's going to have you on your shins and maybe carefully, kind of tenderly check out this deep flexion. You know, one thing is, for some people, if your knees are really sensitive, I have this kind of thick blanket that I'm going to put like right behind my knees. And that can actually, it can feel good for your knee joints if they hurt in child pose. Please explore taking your knees apart a little bit here. So what happens in child pose actually is your psoas muscle is very relaxed. It's shortened. It's not being lengthened or pulled. It's really slack, not doing anything, even though you're in deep hip flexion. So there is a way of like a passive shortening of the muscle. And then you're going to come right up and move right onto your back. And we're going to just start to do kind of a little both working the psoas and stretching it in just a kind of a gentle way here. So when you lay on your back, knees are bent, arms can go out to the side. So one action you'll explore here is that you're just going to straighten your right leg out. And just that action is going to require the right psoas muscle to lengthen out. So really reach that leg and even rotate the leg a little out to the side so your foot rotates and points out to the right. And then just bend that right knee and bring it back. Foot on the floor. Left leg extends out. Kind of pull and then rotate the leg out to the side a little bit. And then bring that left foot back on the floor. Now you're just going to do this back and forth. Just kind of extend that right leg. As you do that, draw your navel down. So you might notice when you contract and pull your navel down, that's going to flatten your lower back and require the psoas to lengthen. So as you straighten that left leg, when you switch sides, you do not want to arch your back. If you have that feeling like you really want to arch your lower back here, that might signal that you have a really tight psoas. So draw your navel down. Again, you're going back and forth and exploring. You might even kind of get to know your psoas here. You might even place your hands on your lower belly or front of your hips. Just feel that space. Now, obviously, you have intestines here. You can't feel your psoas way down along your spine. But you might be able to feel like what it feels like to contract your abdominal muscles, your more surface muscles, to pull your navel down as you're doing this. Now, go ahead and just pause that action. Take both feet on the floor, arms back out to the side, and then just reach one leg up to the ceiling. Just straight up, and then just switch. Just reach the other leg up. And as you do this back and forth, this is starting to do hip flexion. As you continue, instead of reaching your foot straight up to the ceiling, just start to reach the leg out to the side a bit more. So your hip flexor is working, but this is also, working other muscles like your thigh muscles have to work here because your legs are straightening. Good. And then as you pause, just take both feet back on the floor, and we're going to work specifically the pelvic action of tilting your pelvis. So again, contract your belly button down so you're flattening your lower back. This action I could call like the tucks, like you're tucking your tailbone here, and then you're going to curl or curve your lower back. So do the opposite. So it's like a tuck and curve. So as you curve your lower back, you might even be able to like slip your fingers under your lumbar area. So just go back and forth, just getting this action in your lower back. So we want the lower back to be able to just move. Like I said, we want it to just be very nimble and supple. However, the muscles you're working right here are more surface muscles. You're working your abdominal muscles, like at the surface, and then your back muscles a little more at the surface. This is not a lot of psoas work. Good. Now you're going to reach your arms above your head. Way up, reach your arms up, and then bring right knee in towards your chest and extend your left leg out. Now this one is very specific for psoas. Switch legs, extend right leg, left knee pulls into the chest. And as you do this back and forth, you are engaging your navel. You're pulling your navel kind of down towards the floor. Breathing, going back and forth. It's a very strong action. Another way you could do this, if even a little more work, is the leg that extends, don't let it touch the floor. That can actually get a little deeper into the psoas, especially if you're keeping your navel down. Good. And then just relax here. Just bend both knees. Go ahead and roll to the side and bring yourself back up to all fours. So as you come up to all fours, let's just kind of roll into our cat and cow through the whole spine. Just really good for the whole, part of what this gets into, if, as I was talking in my, if you got my email this week, is this area of the vagus nerve. So this action can be really good for creating space around even your face, like your face, your neck, your mouth. Getting that area really flowing. And just this movement is going to help to kind of sweep tension away through throat, your chest, your lungs. So feel like breathe into your whole chest as you're doing this. That's why I love doing this one for a while, because you could spend time around your mouth, your throat. You could spend time around your chest. You could spend a little time around your belly, like feel your belly button and your whole abdomen. You just need this kind of rub and scrub internally. Breathing through your nose. So go ahead and move right to downward facing dog. And similar to last week, this is kind of that longer, wider dog. The hands are wider apart. Your feet are a little bit wider apart. We're just looking for a little more space in down dog. And awareness of the spine being lengthened, not rounding your back at all. Just feel the hips reaching back. Good. Now go ahead and just touch your knees down and then just come up onto your knees. Anytime you're in this pose, feel free to put some padding under your knees. You could even like fold your mat back like this if you need a little more cushion under your knees. So as we come up here, this is already a lot more demanding for in your hips because of the bend of the knees. So we really are going to pull and lift up the navel here. And drop your tailbone down. And just reach your arms up. And then reach your arms way out to the side and bring the arms down and just do a few breaths here where you inhale up. Even lift your chest a little bit and then you exhale down. Inhaling up. Exhaling down. As the arms come down, take the hands behind you, a little bit on your lower back, and then go to a little back bend. So the back bend is going to feel like you're lifting your chest up. You might look up a little bit, but really pull your navel up, contracting the backs of your legs, your glutes, draw your tailbone in. Good, and then just let that go. Take your right foot forward. So now you just have weight on your left leg, like you're balancing on your left leg. And you might even feel that lift up of your left hip. Let's take right hand on the right thigh and just reach that left arm up. And take that top left arm a little up and over to your right. So you're really stretching that left side. Pull your navel up. Good, and then just let go. Switch sides. That right knee comes down, left foot forward. So all of your weight is on the right leg. Like you're balancing on your right leg. Reach your right arm up. Pull the ribs straight up here as you take a little side stretch. So you might imagine that space in front of your right hip really opening up. Breathe, keep your throat open. So the breath is really important when we're doing this deep work. Good, and then as you let go, as the arm comes down, bring that left knee down. And again, just take yourself right to down dog. make sure that the breath is really moving here. Just keep lifting the hips way up. Ah. And then go ahead and come to standing. Just feet walk forward. And as you come up, we're going to do one exercise. I think we did this last week, but I'm going to really require that you do touch the wall for this one because I notice there's something about touching the wall. So your right hand is going to touch the wall. It could touch a chair or something just for support. And you're going to balance on your right leg and start to bend your left knee. But let's get left toes on the floor for a moment to feel like, in a way, this is like tree pose, right? You're like preparing, you're getting as tall as you can. But as you firm that right leg, you're going to lift your navel up and even kind of pull your tailbone in a little bit here. So as you lift your left knee higher, higher, firm, even feel your right glutes, your right buttock really firming here. And lift that left knee straight up. So like the higher this gets, get really toned and firm with the right glutes. Reach your left arm up. If it makes sense, you could reach your right arm up also. You maybe release the wall here. And then just let that go. Stay tall. Try not to crumple. Switch. As you balance on the left leg, right away, explore. Almost like your head is like a balloon that it's lifting straight up. But we don't want to overlook the midsection here. So as you prepare, straighten that left leg, lift the front hip bones up. And as you start to lift that right knee up, straighten the left leg. And as that knee lifts higher, firm the left glutes. Now just do this as best as you can. It might not work. You might not connect to the glutes. But as you're lifting that knee up, give it a moment, reach the right arm up, and then maybe left arm. Keep the breath flowing. Go ahead and release down. So we're going to do this one more time. You could use the wall. You could practice this without the wall. I just like that little touch on the wall so I can get really thorough as I start to lift my left knee, balancing right leg, so I can just get really deep into that effort of straightening my standing leg, lifting my navel up. Lift that left knee up. If it makes sense, arms come up because that helps. That lift of the ribs. Straight up, release down. Switching. Maybe a little lift of right knee, but focus on the standing leg. So this is meant to bring awareness deep, deep, deep in the body. In a way, I don't care at all about how high you're lifting the right knee. It's more just a thorough connection to your full height, grounding down, breath flowing, and then release down. Good, just pause here. Now you're going to keep both feet down. You might stay at the wall. Again, it's not totally necessary, but right side of the body near the wall. So now we're going to get into that one side at a time, the stretch through the arch or the curve of the side body. So with right side facing the wall, I'm going to bring left arm up. Important to lift my navel up, ribs up, and then letting the left fingertips go up and over and touch the wall. Now, as you get that light touch, you might even move closer to the wall to make that connection. So I lift the chest, but I really get that lift of the navel. And you might even feel as you lift your side, your left ribs up, that this is also, it's not just stretching your left side, it's actually stretching the side of your spine, therefore the psoas. Oh, that space, psoas, so happy. Lengthening the legs. And then as you let go, that left arm reaching way out to the left, coming down. And switch. Stay tall. So ground your feet. Lift straight up through crown of the head. Make sure pelvic tilt is that you're conscious of that effort. As the right arm comes up, lift the right ribs. Feel that pulling whole right side of your spine. Lengthening, getting a little stretch. Maybe right fingers actually touch the wall. If they don't, of course, that's okay. Or you might just move a little closer to the wall. Breathing. So as we do this work, we want to make sure, flow of breath. Go ahead and release that right arm, going way out to the side and coming down. Good. So as you come back to your mat here, then just to kind of integrate that work, we'll just do this in like a fluid way and feel this interconnectedness. So you could just take one arm up, feeling that side stretch, maybe the pull, the lift up of your navel, like from your pubic bone up, and then you just switch sides. So all of this, I would say, like in the name of spaciousness and this, fluidity and connection to like our, we could just call it the gut, like all of the communication that we get from our gut. What do you feel on your gut level? Really trusting how, what we feel in our gut is often sensations and it's not words. So there's a lot within how this practice connects us to the wordless. Good. And then just letting this go, the arms come down. Let's take feet a little bit wider apart. And just start to let the arms swing. Yeah, just loose, twist. The agitation, kind of that side to side, through the belly, chest, the lungs. Even feel like your mouth is really spacious here. You're grounding through your feet, really connected, but there's that lightness around your heart. Good. Now, as you let this go, pause. We'll move towards the front of your mat. We are going to go through a little sun salutation here. But we're going to start with just my absolute favorite. This is like the classic giant psoas work where your right foot stays forward and your left foot steps back. So the left foot, those toes have to curl under a little bit. And you straighten that back leg and you start to lift your ribs. You even take your hands on your ribs. But as you lift your ribs up, I could untuck my tailbone. I kind of feel that lift of my tailbone as I lift my ribs. Or I could lift my ribs and notice that connection when I pull your tailbone in. Like, oh, that's really different. It kind of makes sure there's this smooth curve, like right in front of my hip, and reach the arms up. So deep, that lift from your pubic bone to your navel pulls up as you straighten your back leg. Give the body a little time here to really open to this. That back leg just keeps getting longer, straightening, and the navel lifting, and the collarbones lifting. Now, take your right hand down onto your right thigh. And then just slightly, you're going to take that top left arm and reach it over to the right and get that little bit of side stretch for that left side. And as you straighten that back leg, you might really feel that deep along your lower back. That lift of the navel. Feel just that right little side stretch. Heart lifted. Good. Now, as you let this go, you're just going to take your hands down. You're going to step back towards your down dog. Breathe, feel, and just take this toward your plank pose. Draw your tailbone in. Lightly touch your knees down, move on to your belly. So as you lower down here, reach your legs back, way back, and just move towards your cobra pose. So very important, let's actually take the hands back and take your fingers like right below your butt. So right at the very base, where the butt turns into your thighs. And just sense that area, because right there, now you could take your hands back on either side of the chest, just a little cobra, but really ground that area, that base of the butt. So as if you're really taking your tailbone down, pubic bone is definitely grounding, but then reach your chest forward. As you're really grounding, dropping your tailbone, that's going to help take the deep arch out of your lower back here. Lengthen and lift your legs a little bit. Go ahead and use your glutes. Lift your legs up, but the legs do straighten. Very slowly start to bend both of your knees. And just explore that, the bending of the knees, but the lifting of the thighs, the chest forward. Good, and then just re-extend the legs. As you lower down, the toes tuck under, and you move back to your down dog. Lots of space here. Chest really nice and open. And then as you touch your knees down, just take a brief moment here, knees down. Take the right foot, step it forward. You get your little low lunge position here. And take the back foot, just tuck it under and shift your left knee back, your left kneecap back. So this, again, classic psoas stretch. If it feels better, take both hands on your left side. And just reach your chest forward, lift up, lift the navel up. And then take that back foot so the top of the foot is down. Straighten the back leg. So it actually lifts your kneecap up. So yeah, just the top of your foot is down. And then lightly your knee touches back down. Your shin touches down. Do that again. So it's just the top of the foot down. So you straighten the leg so much. Your knee is lifted. Your shin is lifted. Try not to suddenly cave your heart in. So keep the chest forward. And then as the knee comes down, let's go all the way to our giant crescent pose. So the back foot tucks under. You lift up. You lift up. Straighten your back leg. Lift your chest and navel lifting up. Let's briefly straighten the front leg. So both legs are straight. You're reaching the arms up. Hoist the navel up. And then very slowly bend that front knee. Good. And then the arms come down. You lean forward. Step onto the right leg. Balance. Gently start to lift that left knee up. Straighten the right leg. And then just place the left foot down. Now, as you bring both feet down here, practice standing tall. So when you're standing really upright here, this is, it really is work to release tension in your psoas, just standing upright. So even bring the arms up. And you might notice that, that lift, your ribs are up, tailbone dropping, and then go back and forth a little bit. With all of this consciousness around that area of lower back and a pelvic tilt. So we have this awareness of that tilt of your pelvic bowl. But again, it's interesting. The psoas is not actually connected to your pelvic bowl. It's that lower back, though, that's affected. Now, as your arms come down here, keep your left foot forward, right foot stepping back. Find your stance here, please. So that back leg, we start by really straightening that back leg. So as that right leg straightens, we start to lift the front hips. Reaching the arms up. So there's that grounding, breathing here. Keep moving fully into this. That back leg straightening, lift up through your spine. Now remember, tailbone in. And then take that left hand down to your left thigh. And keep reaching up through the right arm as it reaches a little bit up and over to your left. So it's like you're hoisting, really lifting your right ribs up. Don't let the back leg soften and bend. Straighten that back leg. So we breathe. Feel like your breath is sweeping along this whole stretch. As you let go, as that right arm comes down, the hands come down and you move to your down dog. Ah. Your plank pose. So straighten the legs. Draw the tailbone in. And then lower down onto your belly. Extending the legs back. So as you play with just your back bend here, lifting, reaching the chest, the ribs forward. Feel the reaching back through your legs. And really draw the tailbone down. So sometimes when we lift up to Sphinx Pose, go ahead and lift onto your forearms. This you might really feel like the action of the glutes. Pulling like right at the very base of your butt, that's grounding down. And you lift up your spine. So it will maybe feel like that contracting glute muscles. Lifting up. Ah. So as you lower down part way, you could even lower quite a bit, but you're still hovering here. Let the hands slide back so they're on either side of your chest. So you're going to lengthen and lift your right leg, really use your glutes, and then lower down. And then lengthen and lift your left leg. So there's the glutes working, and then it lowers down. So do that back and forth with that focus. Back and forth. And make sure like your heart is still kind of floating forward, keeping a lot of space so you can breathe. As I mentioned, this vagus nerve, it's very connected to this the stimulation of the parasympathetic nervous system so that you can actually stay really relaxed as you do this work. I'm working my muscles and I'm just completely calm. Good. Now, as you release this, you go back to your down dog. Low back, like really kind of stick your butt out, like reach the hips way back. And then lightly touch your knees down. We'll take that left foot and just step it forward. As it steps forward, you can choose where to place your hands. So just make sure you don't end up like really rounded back here. So the lunge means you're dropping the right thigh down. So that is what really turns it into, oh, there's no flexion in your right hip. In fact, it's really extended. And there's that lift up through your spine. Just being here, just breathing here. You might tuck your back foot under. Just to shift your kneecap back. You know, it's okay to play with those different positions. See how that feels. So you're not sinking your chest in here. Lots of space in your chest. Now the top of the foot goes down. So the right foot, top of the foot down, and then you straighten your back leg, that lift up of your knee, your shin, and try not to drop your head as you do that. Keep your head attached, and then the knee touches down. And then we just practice that again. It's a pretty intense action. Straight, and then just dropping down. Now again, that back right foot's going to tuck under. You're going to start to lift up here, hands come up. So as you straighten the back leg, find your footing so that you can lift all the way up to your crescent. Grounding, we lift up, and as you reach your arms up, we're going to straighten both legs for a moment here to really lift the navel. It's like a little easier to get that lift of the front of the hip bones, but then bend that left knee. Good. As the arms come out to the side, you lean forward, you step onto the left leg. We have a brief moment of balancing. So yes, we've been stretching the right psoas, but we want to be able to then lift that right knee. We want to be able to also work that muscle. So with that, we're going kind of back and forth here, straighten the left leg, and then just placing the foot down. So ground your heels here, arms come up, little side to side. Just as you're going side to side, there's that lifting up, grounding down. So you're really wide across your chest here. Lots of space. So pause for a moment and we're going to do just a little bit of like shaking, jiggling. Your knees are doing a little bouncy action, and you're going to, in your own way, it might just be a sigh, or and this can start to kind of go side to side, just getting kind of jiggly. You might even kind of go one leg and shake one leg out. Just after all this intense work, kind of loose. It doesn't take a lot, you're just getting this kind of jiggling. There might be a little real side to side happening. And then as we let this go, you're going to maybe rotate on your mat so you can take your feet wide apart. So finally, we're going to do just a couple standing poses that maybe we don't realize like how much this area of the psoas is part of these poses. So let's go to your right side first, where you're just going to take the right foot open to the right and that left foot pointing in. So when you start to bend your right knee, get to know your groin area here. So if you bend your right knee and you start to really arch your lower back, that might be a sign of tight psoas. So we kind of lift up that pelvic floor. It lifts up, lift the front hip bones as you reach that inner right thigh way out to the right. So that is kind of that dropping of the tailbone, but we have to lift up. Even use your hands and your rib, like feel the ribs lift up, and then extend your arms out. So can you feel that effort, of that, lifting up? Even reach your arms up here. Sometimes that just helps really get into those sides of the lumbar, nice and lengthy. Now straighten your left leg, right? So when you extend your arms, That left leg sometimes is a little slack because of that tight psoas. So can you feel that on front of the left hip? Really nice stretch. Good. Now briefly straighten the right leg. Hold that pelvic floor just straight up. Space in your throat. Now as you rebend the right knee, you're actually going to lean out to the right. Take your right hand on that thigh. And then maybe if you're leaning way over, you might take right forearm out on the thigh. Now keep that left leg really straight. Draw your tailbone in as you reach that left arm now. So don't push your belly forward. We have to pull the navel in here to get that full length of the psoas. Now that we know where it is, we can visualize. Good, and then come up, push into your feet. Switch sides, just at a time. Bend of that left knee, so go ahead and explore. Oh yeah, right leg straightening. So these, like this warrior two, there's a lot going on like in the groin area. Open the soles of your feet, maybe lift your ribs up, getting that lift front and back. Maybe you reach your arms up for a moment just to wiggle your lower back, that whole waistband area, get some space in there. And then reach the arms way out. So make sure this isn't tight. Way too much effort. I can breathe here. There's that ongoing effort, like the lift up of the pelvic floor, the straightening the right leg. Now go ahead and as you let go, just straighten the left leg for a moment. And the second pose, partial konasana, the side angle pose. So as you straighten both legs here, get that feeling like the legs, they go like right into the spine. So in yoga, actually, this is a lot about this energetic flow through these powerful legs connected to the earth, that it actually moves up through your spine and it doesn't get all trapped deep in this like psoas in our emotional zone. So we practice, we just let this flow. So as you now re-bend that left knee, as you're bending, you actually lean out to the left, but right away, navel in. Get that drawing in. Maybe just your hand touching, that's fine. Or if it makes sense that as you lean over, forearm touches down. So you don't want to like kind of collapse your chest to do this. Lengthen your spine, and then that top arm. Reaching, tailbone in. Right leg straightening. So feel, breathe. Whole body breathing. As you come up, you push into your feet, coming all the way up. So take your feet parallel. Take your feet a little bit closer together. And pause here. We're going to reach arms up again. Get that nice length here. So again, we want to be able to then go into the counteraction here of actually hip flexion. So let's take maybe hands just on your hips. Lift your chest though. Okay, really lift and start to hinge in your hips. It's almost like your tailbone is untucking, 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 lengthening your spine. breathing as you move into this. So right at that very tip of the tailbone, rotating. Open the soles of the feet. Now legs are still working to straighten. Moving into the stretch now through the backs of your legs, your hamstrings. Letting your head drop down here. So the psoas would work here to really move into the deep hip flexion. Like your belly is moving towards your thighs. To kind of play with this, you might lift up onto your fingertips, reach your chest forward. And then that deep flexion in your hips as you fold over. Gradually coming up. As you come back up, just take the feet, little at a time, stepping back in. Just move right to mountain pose. Tall. Moving now towards the back of your mat. So all of this really just leads, we again could kind of integrate just how you walk, how you move. So just bring your arms right down to the side. I'm going to do just a little like walking meditation in a way, but with awareness around alignment, spaciousness. So as you take just a little step with your right foot, just to feel that lightness around the heart, like you're lifting up here, you have a lot of space through your heart and your throat. And as you take that next step, ground your left foot. And maybe feel like that little lift of your navel. Maintain space around your heart as you're walking. You might really feel this in your body, just all the work that we've been doing. Even as you turn, you have to turn around in order to go back. Now, as you're walking, you might continue to feel lots of radiance and space around your heart. But also, as you're walking, imagine that right at your sacrum, that you were being pressed, like someone touched your sacrum, and then that's what was moving you forward. Like just that little push on your sacrum. Yeah, if it makes sense, like take a finger or thumb right towards your tailbone. And it just is a way to get to know how you hold yourself. Like you know what's happening in your pelvis when you move, when you walk. Because sometimes that can help us actually connect earth all the way up to our consciousness. So we're staying very connected, not like losing inner connection. So very unified within. What does it feel like to walk where you feel unified? I find this is worthy of study. Good. It's a good one you can practice anytime. So you're going to take yourself just right down to the floor. And I am going to, well, let's see. This one, in the past, I've done sometimes with a block, with yoga block. I mean, I will demonstrate it with a block. You do not need a yoga block for this. So you're going to sit cross-legged. Let me adjust that. So as you sit cross-legged, yeah, you actually don't want to sit on anything here because this is, we want the bottom to feel kind of heavy rather than elevated. So the hands could come in front of you. If you have a block, you could have your fingers, your palms on your block. And just keep that nice lift of your chest as you slide the block forward. So you might feel like your bottom is heavy, you're not tipping forward. Now, if you don't have a block, you would just come up onto fingertips as you do this. So this is quite a counteraction of all the work we've done today. Just gonna kind of wiggle. I like to do that little side to side wiggle. Feel like, lower back now, getting a great big stretch. Because this work, we did a lot of back bending work. A lot of, different action, like in your hips, in your joints, in your knees here. And then as you come back, as you start to come up, you might even just come part way up and then move yourself over to the right. And here, we're just going to extend out over the right thigh. So I like to take like my opposite, like my left arm, like, that nice deep stretch. And it might get into like your lower left side. If you're want to use a block, it just keeps you a little bit higher. It might feel like it gives a little more space through your chest. Lots of breath, like kind of marinate your whole body in breath. And you come like part way up or however it feels right, and then go all the way over to the other side. Extending out. Breathing, again, either block or fingertips. Just follow wherever it feels like you need a little extra stretch here. So you breathe. Feel your way into this. As you come back up, all the way up, lean back, open your feet just wide apart and do your really loose back and forth where your knees just loosely go back and forth. Go ahead, move right onto your back. We will just kind of finalize with that really easy lift and lower in and out of your bridge pose. Completely according to your body. So your knees are bent, your feet are on the floor. And you just push into your feet, you lift that tailbone up. Shoulders roll under. Light around your heart. Let the upper back just feel kind of that weight pressure way up as you ground your shoulders down. Roll down. And maybe lifting up again. Just get this really fluid movement, lifting and lowering. And then in your own way, you can take yourself right to Shavasana. So this active, I would say kind of a conscious rest. This conscious non-doing. Where we're thoroughly putting everything down. This would start with your body. So can you arrange your body, your bones? It's almost like you're taking like this 8-minute retreat, doing nothing. Close your eyes and actually feel the softening of your eyes and how you can choose to soften around your eyes. Soften your whole face, your throat. All of this attention does stimulate this vagus nerve, which triggers your body to relax and realize a sense of being thoroughly in the present, in reality, and this can have a calming effect. I'm right here. Bring awareness to your belly. And if it feels appropriate, you might even place one of your hands on your belly. In this gesture, may I be free of tension. Even your hand might kind of circle around a little bit. So we need this state of relaxation, even in a practical way, to really digest your food. Within all of these channels in the body can really flow. Let your lower back relax. Feel it just descend. Soften deep in your hips so your legs completely drop. The muscles is fully released, like the muscles dropping away from the bone. The mind is bright and present. This presence of wisdom. I'm aware of my whole body. Bringing awareness to your whole body. And then, as part of our practice, you can study this transition now. I'm going to let go of this reclined pose. Just as you move, as you start to move your body, that you can do this in a relaxed way, but even in a very strong way. You feel this deep strength that takes you kind of gracefully back up to your seated pose. With that, just like relaxed, soft skin and space around your chest, your throat. May we align in this way that as we continue through our day, that our breath can flow. There's this free flow. Our emotions can flow. There's this arising, and nothing is, going to jolt or shock us. It's like, oh, yeah, of course. Everything is just part of nature. So as you come up to seated, we'll just take palms together in front of the heart. And we're actually going to close with 3 ohms. If you want to, you could join in, or even a silent ohm, where within there's just this inner sound vibration of Om is really good. Just this vibration that you can sense it like connecting, connecting all of us, connecting to the world and to nature. So deep, take a deep inhale. So may this vibration just remind us that we are exactly where we're supposed to be. And then may it guide us like, well, what is that next step? So may our words or actions be done in a mindful way for the benefit and the wellness of all beings. Thank you so much, everyone, for practicing together. Wishing you a wonderful ongoing practice. And so, yeah, today's Friday morning, and tomorrow is Saturday. If you want to join in the 2-hour Saturday morning class, please do so. You can send me an email. I've got email through Common Ground. You could just do Nancy at commongroundmeditation.org. My website, my business end of Boler Yoga would be Nancy at boleryoga.com if you want to connect with me, because that Saturday morning class is a Zoom class, and you would need that Zoom link. It is on my website at boleryoga.com. So nice to hear from everyone in the chat. So I'll just leave the chat open here for a little bit if you want to say hi to friends. Hi, everyone. Great to see you. Really wishing everyone has a wonderful week, staying grounded. This being grounded really can have such an effect around us. Staying level-headed, open-hearted,